I'm back.
Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our weekly podcast entitled Reading with Uncle Ken. And at the moment, we're on part 4. And my name is Dr. Silkman, and I'm from the Foul Play team. And welcome, listeners. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate all your support. And if you like what we do on the channel, please subscribe to our channel. And if you like our podcast, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, no problems at all. Please let us know and we'll try and improve. We try and do the very best that we can. So guys, what we're doing on our podcast, for those who have just joined us, and welcome if you're new to the podcast, we're reading parts of Ken Kratz's book. And Ken Kratz wrote a book several years ago entitled Avery, The Case Against Stephen Avery and What Making a Murderer Gets Wrong. And essentially in that book, he discusses Making a Murderer, predominantly Making a Murderer number 1. When Making a Murderer number 2 came out a few years later, Ken Kratz had to add a few extra chapters to his book. So we're reading from the updated edition. And so it's very, very interesting. He basically had to add extra chapters really to counteract some of the findings that were shown in Making a Murderer 2. And before we start the podcast proper, today I'm really happy to say that I'm joined by Alice, BB, Jack61, Just Rhonda, Neverly, Not My Verbiage, Susan, and Sammy. And guys, Sammy will be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, burning questions that you want to discuss, please let us know. Put them in the chat, and we'll try and answer your questions during the chat. We'll try the very best that we can. So guys, the way the format works is very, very simple. What I do is I read selective passages from Ken Kratz's book, and then I open it up to the panel and also the audience if you want to answer as well. So remember, Ken Kratz was the leading part of the prosecuting team of both Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, and the prosecuting team was successful in prosecuting both Stephen and Brendan. Both of them are sitting in prison for life. Brendan Dassey gets out, I think, in 2048. He's eligible for parole in 2048. So as a panel, we are very interested to see what words Ken Kratz wrote in his book. But guys, before we start the podcast proper, I want to give a big shout out to all the ladies who have YouTube channels and who work tirelessly bringing information to us, the general public, about both Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey, and other wrongful conviction cases. There's a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of ladies on YouTube who work very, very hard to support the boys and their families, and also other cases as well. I'd like to give a big shout out to the really good work done by Becca, Not My Verbiage, who's part of the Foul Play team, Kelly Coles, who does a lot of excellent work on doing crime scene reconstruction, and really you should check out her videos. She's actually been discussing to an Australian police detective who works in sex crimes, and his knowledge of the case is incredible, and he's given a lot of good insight into what's been happening. We have Jane, Sharper Than a Pencil. We also have Tracy Keogh who's done a lot of excellent work with regarding Brendan Dassey. Same with Becca as well. Lot of hard work. We also have just Rhonda, who's done a phenomenal amount of work on the Daniel Holtzclaw case. And I'm sure there's 2 or 3, probably even more ladies that I've missed, but a big shout out to them for doing a lot of hard work, providing a lot of good education for all of us. And we are truly, truly very thankful. And I do apologize if I've missed anybody out. Of course, we have the regulars. We have people like Paul Capaldi, Millbilly, and others who also release incredible videos and work very hard on both cases. So I thank you all for continuing and doing your hard work. That's very much appreciated. Well, look, guys, what we normally do at this stage, I like to go to my panel and ask each panel member just very quickly how they've been going the last week, and have they seen or done anything exciting that they'd like to share with us on the team. Alice, how things been coming along with you?
Yeah, things have been good. Just reading up on Brendan's case and being
Awesome.
involved in a couple of lives. So all good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So things have been going pretty good for you so far?
Yes, they have. I was on a live with Linda and Becca earlier, and we were talking about Kaczynski. So raring to go. I'm still fired up a bit, so I can't wait for what's to come.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alice. I appreciate that. Bibi, how things been going along with you?
Nothing, very boring this week, but I made it, so hey.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And how's the situation with your drinking water?
Still can't drink it. Still
Oh,
wait.
no.
The landowner gives us a whole $15 break for
Oh,
not
wow.
having drinking water.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, God. I wonder if Ken Kratz has got anything to do with the water supply. Yes, Bibi.
And my kitchen is filling up with milk jugs from the water that we brought back. Anybody needs some, I can pass them out, you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, BB. Jack61, how things been going with you?
Going very well. Just been helping Rhonda and the girls a little bit on Daniel's case, and but
awesome.
Last couple of days I've been diving in and trying to get us ready for tomorrow for the Cuss Road open mic.
Wow,
should be a lot of fun. To cover a lot of that ground again, educate people, keep it in front of people. There's so much there to talk about. God, it's just a vast subject. So hopefully we can get through, quite a bit of it. I don't know that we can get everything, but we'll get as much as we can. Anyone that's out there listening now, you're welcome to come on and join us. Have your turn at the mic. You're more than welcome.
Yes, and thank you so much, Jack61. I just wanted to say that I think the open mic format has been a real winner, and some great topics have been discussed, and they have been really well received by the audience, and just awesome. A lot of good topics covered, and I think it opens it up to more people to come and join in and give us their thoughts. And and Jack61, you're doing an excellent job as the host. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you. Just Rhonda, how things been coming along with you?
Oh, thank you. Just incredibly, I say it every week, but incredibly busy.
Yes.
So you're doing just a lot of research. We've continued reading the book. Death and Justice, and I finally got that bookcast started, and so we're doing that on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Central, and
Yes.
that's a open panel. So if anybody's caught up on the book and wants to add their thoughts and opinions, and we Kay gives us, Daniel's also reading along with us, so
Oh,
Kay
wow.
speaks. Yeah, it's really cool. He speaks with Kay and shares his thoughts and opinions about the chapter each week, and Kay tries to bring those back to us as best she can, and she's doing a
Yes.
great job with that. And so it's really cool to be able to, even though it's not like directly interacting with Daniel, we are getting to interact in a way. So it's
Yes.
been good. We're getting it together, and I think it's going to be really successful.
Fantastic. Is it true that he got a tattoo?
I understand he's had several tattoos since he's been in prison, and he's got, it sounds like he's got a sleeve going, since he's been there. So yeah, he had one when he went in, but,
Yes.
I'm curious, I'll be curious to see those, if we can ever get pictures or get a look at those.
Yes. Yes. No, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Just Rhonda. Any other comments so far?
Nope. Still, I think I started recording the motion hearings for Brendan's trial, and
Awesome.
so that's been kind of fun to be able to get back. And Zoe's super, super excited to be able to be back editing again. So
Yes.
Her puzzle.
Yes. Yes. Bibi, any comments?
Jay said, what happened to the billboards? Have they gone now? Does anybody know about the billboards?
Any information about the billboards?
Linda, do you know?
I saw a photo last night, I think, of a billboard.
I think they got another one. Not that they're gone.
I think they keep getting more, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they got another one.
Don't they run like on a lease for X amount of time, and then you just re-up the lease? Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing the work that's been going on, just to keep the pressure on the governor and everybody else. It's just amazing.
And
absolutely
that was
amazing.
Tracy Kehoe, wasn't it? Who started that?
Tracy Kehoe. Yes, I believe so. Correct. She does a lot of podcasts on Brendan Dassey. And if you haven't gone to her channel, really go check it out. She's done a lot of extensive work on Brendan Dassey, and fascinating. I was on a live, I think, with Paul Capaldi and her. She's a brilliant, brilliant speaker and knows her work really, really well. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Neverly, how have things been coming along with you, and have you seen anything new or exciting?
Hello, everyone. Things are going great, actually, with me. And if I can take a half a minute and share what's
Did you
so
say
great.
Or half an hour?
Well, come on.
That's
said
true.
A minute.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
I would like to share great news, which is, I don't know who knows about it. It's like a little bit about what's going on in my personal life. My 18-year-old son has joined the Marines, and he's in the second week of boot camp. And I received a first letter from him, and I was so excited yesterday. It was the best day of my life since I had him. And
awesome.
He's doing great. He sounded positive. He says, I'm not ready. Nobody can get ready for this, but I'm doing it, Mom. And he even said that he adores me in Serbian, in Cyrillic, which is so much effort put in. And I'm just happy, and I cannot help myself but share that with everybody, with the world. So thank you for listening. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank him from me for his service.
Thank you. I will. And you know what? Even though he's only a recruit, I think that means a lot to them. So I will make sure to say that. Thank you very much for my murder friends. Yes. Yes, I will do that. Thank you, Jack. Yeah. And then I just stumbled upon a show. I don't know how, but it was meant to be. that's called True Conviction. It's on Prime.
Yes.
And it's included in the Prime. I haven't finished watching the movie because I started watching it 3 times, and because it's at the end of the day and I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I just fall asleep. That's what it is. And I fall asleep at the 10th minute every single time. So I have graduated the first 10 minutes. But what I understand what's it all about. Have you seen it, Dr. Silkman, maybe? Or anybody else?
I have actually seen it. And
you have?
Yes, I have. And it's definitely worth watching, guys. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's called True Conviction. Amazon Prime, yeah.
And it's a documentary, correct?
Yes, it is. It goes for about an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. Very, very interesting documentary.
From what I understand, there are 3 exonerees who decided to get together and help other people who were in the same situation, pick cases, but act as investigators.
That's correct. That's correct. It's a very unusual documentary because these people, there's 3 of them, they have been in prison for a long period of time, and each one of them were wrongfully convicted, and they joined together as a team. And what they're doing is they're looking at other people's cases who are in prison. And what is sad, and the panel will agree, is that they receive hundreds and hundreds of letters from prisoners every week. All of them, all the prisoners are saying that, look, they've been wrongfully convicted. Can you please help me? Can you please help me? But unfortunately, due to, resources and manpower, they could only take a few cases on. So it is very, very sad. But I agree with you, Neverly. It's definitely worth checking out. True Conviction on Amazon Prime. Definitely worth checking out.
And in regards to the billboards that I think JD asked the question, I just would like to say that there is a movie that most of us have seen, I know, on our panel, but other people maybe haven't. A movie that's called 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And yes, that's a powerful movie.
Great movie.
Yes. So 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Highly recommended. And that's all.
BB.
Oh, sorry.
All good? Okay. Yes, sorry, Neverly. Continue.
No, that's all.
All good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And not my verbiage. How are things coming along with you?
Oh my gosh, things are really moving along. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Barb and Pete, who were on our show last night. It was epic. It was really, really wonderful to have both of Brendan's parents on the show with us. And she said, her words were, I'll be better prepared next time. So that sounds hopeful. And then me and Becca just started doing, we're reading Kaczynski, as she calls it, Meow. And she's reading a few things out of the transcripts, and then of course we're voicing our opinions, and it's kind of hard to read that stuff, and support Brendan the way we do, but it is something that needs to be done. So shout out to Becca and everybody that wants to join. That's on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, I think, Central Time. And then of course Brendan Talks is on at 5:30 on Fridays, and it's a family-friendly show, as you can tell, and hopefully we'll be getting more of the family on and being able to show them that it's okay, that there are people that just that really care, and that's about it.
Wow, it must have been awesome to have both Barb and Pete on at the same time.
I was speechless. If y'all can imagine that.
Yes.
It was.
It's really surreal. We see people like Barb and Pete on a documentary, right, on Making a Murderer,
right,
and they're presented in a certain light and in a certain fashion. But when you actually see them in person, just talking, just talking casually. It's it really hits home.
Yeah,
It really does.
You can see the pain. You can see the pain.
You can definitely see the pain. You're correct.
Yeah, and you can feel it, and you don't know. I mean, I think it's awful brave of her and him to do that. And like Pete says, I'll use Pete's words. I'm on here because I love my son, and I think that he needs to see that I love him, and the world needs to see that I love my son. And I think that's just brilliantly said.
Yeah, and also kudos to you and your team for getting them both on. The mere fact of that, I think that Barb was comfortable enough to come on and talk to you guys.
Yeah,
that's
Queen of the First.
That's massive. That is massive. When you consider how much pressure that she would be under as a mother and all the criticism that she copped over many years, for her to come on and talk to you guys, I don't even know what to say. That's just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Becca.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Not my verbiage. Judge, how are you going, sugar?
Oh, I'm just great, sugar. Thanks.
How are you going, Susan?
Pretty good. The last few days I have been listening to Brian Bates' podcast.
Okay.
About Daniel Holtzclaw.
Yes.
Getting a little more involved in that case. And I hadn't taken the time previously to listen. It's like 24 episodes. So
right.
I think I'm on episode number 11, but it's a lot more detailed. And I have watched Daniel in the Den a couple of times, but this just has a lot more detail. So it's been very interesting.
Just to interject, that case is a nightmare, isn't it? And I know what Rhonda will say, but what do you think, Susan? It's a nightmare.
Oh my God. The investigators are just,
revolting.
Just unbelievable. Yeah.
Alice.
Holy moly, that's all I can say about Daniel's case.
Correct. It's a mind bender, that is for sure. Yeah, just horrific.
And his sentence.
A horrific case. Sorry, Susan.
His sentence is just unbelievable. 263 years, I think. Something like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's a huge sentence. Yep, unbelievable. I think murderers get even less than that. So something is not quite right.
I wrote to him a while back, and I just received a letter from him this week. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was very nice letter. So.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Susan. Anything else?
I think that's all for now.
Okay, awesome. Sammy, thank you, Susan. Sammy, how things been going with yourself?
Absolutely wonderful. So far, so good. I'm working on some plans to expand my studio again.
Wow.
I want to say to Becca and Linda, I'm really, really glad you all have been taking this on and doing this the way that you have, because it's brought out something for the parents of Brandon to be able to share with the world, what they're going through, their experience. And I think it took a lot of courage for Barb to come on there. And I really want to say thank you, Barb, for showing up. That was really awesome. And I'm just really proud of everybody here. And I want to thank you guys for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Sammy. And you're correct. I mean, the mere fact that Barb showed up just unannounced, it took a lot of courage. And I think she knows that her son and her family have got a lot of support. And I think that's priceless. And Neverly.
Yes, I got goosebumps when I heard that she just showed up, and having Pete on the show already. This is their chance to be seen as human beings, as parents of their own, of their son, who happens to be Brandon Dassey. And
Yes.
as we know the story, and actually it's a tragic horror story, what happened to them. But I believe that this is their chance to be heard as parents, to relate to other parents, which the
Correct.
show, kind of did or didn't do it. But they're just
Correct.
normal human beings, with a son that happened to, and it's really like chilling to me. And I'm very happy to
Yes.
hear that they came together, even though they're divorced, so they could support their son. Wonderful.
Yes. 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 Not my verbiage.
Oh, I just wanted to say whatever Sammy said, thank you. I was knocked out, so I didn't hear anything, so I apologize. I'll watch on the rewatch, but thank you. I did hear some kind words. Thank you so much.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when it's sort of funny, like I said, when you see people like Barb and Pete on a documentary, you get a different perspective. And also when you read about them in police reports, and it's very impersonal, right? But I think now I believe that Barb, and especially Pete is so natural now, and he talks so freely. I hope Barb can do the same. And I think she'll see that on your channel, Not My Verbiage, and Becca's, that it's a very safe environment, that we promote. You guys promote a safe environment and good discussion, and we have to be, of course, very respectful. But jeepers, that's a big step for Barb.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm very proud of her for doing it, and showing the world that she is a mom, and you can see the pain in her face, and you can hear it when she talks, and it is real, and it does bring it really back to. It really does. It hits your heart. I am very thankful that she chose mine and Becca's channel to come at, because it
Awesome.
is very very safe,
Yes.
and
Awesome.
I'm still queen of the firsts.
You are queen. You are queen of the first. Yes, you are indeed. Bibi, do you have a comment?
Yeah, T1 says seeing Barb and Pete's smile was warming to be part of it, to see. It was amazing to see them both give their time to the community of supporters.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? This is a first step, I think, for Barb, and hopefully she will naturally open up.
Well,
Tell us
yeah, it
her.
gave her a
Yes.
safe place to come to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Awesome. Sammy, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to add how the general population of the public who's watching all these programs, it's so easy for them to forget what real lives these people have wrapped up in this. And it's really, if Barb can find a comfort zone there with Linda and Becca, I think this could be good for her to be able to let out some of the expression and have some say, on some of these things, and maybe someday allow people to ask her questions that she's comfortable answering. That, I just feel like it's so easy for the public to forget these are real people with real lives, and I really think that it was just marvelous for her to have taken that leap of faith with Linda and Becca. So that's
awesome. Absolutely awesome. Jack 61.
I think it, and you touched on it a little bit, Doc, but I think it's important for people to remember a lot of what we read and read, from time to time in CASO and, DCI reports, whatever. These reports are written by people that may not have the best of intention. So, it's kind of the role of the historian, right? It just depends on who writes the history. So just,
yes, of course.
People have to keep that in mind as well. And it's easy to get cast in a light that is unfavorable and just latch onto it because it's so touching, because Brendan's age and all that. And we also, one last thing we cannot forget, put yourself, and I know it's hard to do for a lot of people because they've never been in this situation, but people to put themselves in her shoes at that time in her life and what she had going on with, Stephen. She was, her then all the trouble with Brendan, and cops, invade the property for 8 freaking days, and it just everything going on.
Correct.
Mind bending. So it was a lot of
Correct.
pressure on her. So people need to understand. Just have some empathy. Remember the human.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Neverly, do you have any comments?
I pretty much concur with Jack. Public hasn't been kind to Barb one bit. I think at times they were brutal. They called her names. They commented on her appearance, on her sophistication, on her skills, and everything. And
yes.
Now when you hear her speak from her heart and put yourself in any mother's shoes, that's a little bit different story. So this is a perfect opportunity, and it's very brave of her to stay there, and that's her conviction. So I applaud it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes. Hopefully, her appearing on the channel, we're going to get to hear more things about from her perspective as a mother. And I think she showed off Brendan's room as well, and discussed all the things that the family has received, and it's just like boxes and boxes of material. So people are definitely thinking about Brendan all the time. It was awesome. All right, guys. Any final comments? We're all good? Okay, I'd just like to spend just 2 minutes about what I've been going up to. And I had a very, very interesting encounter with a couple of guilters. I think Jack61 knows all about it. On Reddit.
Oh my.
On Reddit. And I was alerted that someone wrote a post, and it was called Guilter's DNA Expert. And I thought, jeepers, this sounds pretty interesting. Truther's DNA, not Guilter's, Truther's DNA Expert. And I thought, okay, let's just check this out. I normally don't go on Reddit. Well, lo and behold, someone, no names mentioned, wrote this big post about myself, right? Me. And I had encountered this person on his YouTube channel, and I was very, very critical of the way he came to certain conclusions about, especially item FL. And so, just to cut a long story short, he was very scathing of myself, and it's amazing. A whole group of guilters came on. They came on, and they questioned who I was, whether I had real credentials, whether I had actually done any work at all in DNA, whether I knew what I was talking about. I was actually called a clown, and I'm reading all this
Lord.
stuff. What? And people were sort of like going, "Oh, we did a search and profile. We could only find this information. He doesn't know what he's talking about." And I wrote a comment. I said, "Why don't you just simply ask me instead of making shit up?" And it was that pack mentality of, and Jack knows this all too well, when they actually don't know someone and they attack the person, right? They attack the person. And I wrote this really long response to the original poster on Reddit, which I normally don't go on Reddit. And you know what? Within 5 minutes, he deleted his original post. He deleted his original post.
Don't you think?
Congratulations.
Bravo.
I saw that.
Bravo.
I saw
Good
that.
for you.
Yeah, he got his baseball bat and went home to his mama's basement. And I thought, wow, that's it. And
bravo.
Like I said, I normally don't do that, but it's remarkable how they don't know who I am. They really don't know my credentials, and they will attack you. And people actually make things up. And I got very upset because one of the posters said that I had said certain things during the live that I was talking with the late Eric Cozy. And I thought, I never said anything like that. Lo and behold, I went over the video bit by bit. I had not made any comments that this guy was talking about. So not only are they making stuff up, they're causing an argument when an argument doesn't exist. And that's really, really sad. And I think the gap between the guilters and the truthers is huge. Jack61, do you have a comment?
Well, yeah, I mean, as most everyone knows, my interest in the case, I mean, besides the series, really started with Reddit. And I mean, I've been on Reddit since 2008, just surfing. I never really joined until years later, but regardless of that, you know, your experience on the Guilter sub is pretty typical. They're pretty brutal. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to find this a little difficult to believe, but they're really pretty mild compared to how it used to be most of the time.
I can imagine.
It was back in 2016. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yes. Yes.
And I didn't really go there much. I still don't to this day. I just don't, because the interactions are not sincere.
No.
You know, you get called names. You know, you go back to your island, and you know, it's just pointless to go and talk. So, you know, from my experiences with Reddit, I apologize for that encounter for you. There are much better subs.
Oh, TikTok, no, not at all.
TikTok is a good place if you ever want to, you know, talk to people.
Yeah.
Stephen Avery case, there's a blend of people.
Yes.
You can still get attacked, but you know, you can still have some conversations as well. Of course, the MAM sub, that's a different story altogether. We won't go there. That's it.
Yes, I ended up. It was the Stephen Avery is guilty.
Yeah, SEG
thread,
That's
and
the
I
word.
tell you what, that was a very eye-opening experience.
The gap between us and the Guilders is insurmountable. They're very childish, and they do not do their work. Their research requires some effort, people.
Correct. What I wanted to do, if I could just spend just 30 seconds, what I wanted to do is not make a smart-ass comment, but actually point out exactly where this individual was wrong and why they were wrong. So I did it in a very cordial manner, right? Not being rude or anything like that. He didn't like it. And I criticized his YouTube videos. That his YouTube videos got more thumbs downs than thumbs up. What does that tell you? And I highlighted exactly why he was wrong. And the guy has never worked in a laboratory. That was pretty obvious. He had never worked with DNA and didn't understand controls. And, you know, the sad thing is, that's exactly what you get in Ken Kratz's book. That's exactly what Norm Gahn did in the trial. He tried, and that's exactly what Cherie Cohane tried to do, pull the wool over people's eyes. And that's so nefarious and wrong. But yeah, I won't be going back to Reddit in a hurry. Neville, do you have a comment?
Did they actually question your credentials?
They did. I saw it. They did question it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my Lord. All you had to do is, but there was not enough space on Reddit page for all your credentials.
It was actually quite bemusing, because, you know, I basically wrote, look, you show me your credentials and I show you mine. And I was quite happy to scan my degrees and put them online. I don't mind. I've got nothing to hide. I'm very, very proud of my achievements. The scary thing is, the guilters can't seem to understand that people with a bit of intelligence and with a bit of background in molecular biology can actually be a truther. I don't think they could really comprehend that, which is a bit disconcerting. I mean, I've been in a lab and I've worked in that environment, in a professional environment, all my professional career. And trust me, to understand the DNA in the Stephen Avery case, you probably need year 12 or first year university knowledge and skill to understand it. So it's not that difficult. Once you understand the basics, you know the case pretty well. But for them to question your credentials and whether you've actually worked with DNA, it's as bad as it gets. It's pretty crazy stuff. Jack 61.
They were counting on you not showing up.
Probably.
Sorry? Yes.
Yeah, they were counting. They didn't think that you would ever show up because you're not
that
ready.
you'd ever see it there.
Yeah,
that you'd ever see it there.
That's correct.
So good for you.
Yes. They never ever thought I was going to find that post. And someone alerted me to it, and I thought, okay, I'll just check it out. Lo and behold, it's the same guy I debated on his YouTube channel. Right, and to prove
Kratz?
how Kratz loved his channel, and to prove how gutless this guy was, as soon as he saw me coming in, he deleted his post, left.
Doc, that's why they hate Zellner's experts, because they know they know their business, and they're not going to stick their neck out for Kathleen Zellner or anyone else. That's their reputation on the line. They're not going to do it, and that's why they hate them.
That is correct. And like I said, I'm quite willing to discuss any of my presentations. I'm quite willing to discuss anything about molecular biology. Hey, do it in a cordial manner. Don't be nasty. Don't be nefarious. And, you know, I don't think it's going to happen somehow.
Their MO,
Never.
Dr. Silkman, their MO is to be rude, aggressive, preposterous, and you know what I mean? Offensive.
Correct.
That's their MO.
Correct.
You can't
they always like to say that we haven't read anything. We just got pulled by a documentary. We don't know the case for real. They always try and say that. But really, it mostly turns out to be that they're the ones that didn't read everything.
Oh, that's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. And it's amazing. I mean, when you think about it, what we've done on Foul Play, we've actually read the entire trial testimony of Stephen Avery, the whole lot. And our library has got hundreds and hundreds of documents. And we've done a lot of presentations on a lot of the material. So we know our stuff. It's not like we've based all of our knowledge on Making a Murderer 1 and 2. We've gone way, way beyond that.
Our library has more documents on this case than anyone else.
It's huge.
Can collect.
And it's free.
And everybody we got them from, we asked permission.
Correct.
To post them in there.
Correct.
I just found filters.
No.
I just find them to be very antagonistic. They drive me up a wall when they open their mouth and say something because they're almost always wrong.
Correct. Look, I mean, if you're a guilty, you don't actually have to do any work. All you have to say is, oh, yeah, they're guilty, and that's it. The onus is on us as truthers to try and explain away the forensic evidence against Stephen Avery. So we put in the hard yards. We put in a lot of hours and fruitful discussions, I think, which is awesome. Jack 61.
You know, the sad part, Doc, is that
tell me,
many of the guilters know the case just as well as we do. Don't let anyone fool you. Some of them know the case files backwards and forwards. They read all of it.
Oh, yes.
And if I can say something, the difference between guilters and truthers is that we are truthers. We're looking for the truth, no matter what it is. We're not Stevens. You know what I mean? We're not saying he's innocent at any cost. And that's where they're mistaken.
That's correct. And
yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, none of us on this panel want to support a murderer. Let's make that clear. None of us are going to blindly support a murderer, because what happened to Teresa Horbach was horrific. We want to find out what happened, right? We want to be convinced of his guilt. But hey, you're innocent until proven guilty. And no one can say that Stephen and Brendan received fair trials, because they didn't. Okay? That is obvious. Kathleen Zellner would not waste her time if Stephen Avery was guilty as sin. She wouldn't bother. Bibi.
As far as I'm concerned, they've never even proved to me that she's dead. Yeah.
You're gonna love the first question. Just hold on there, Bibi.
I agree with you, Bibi.
Sammy, yes? Okay. Not my verbiage.
I was just gonna say, very well said. Very, very well said. None of us want to support murderers and rapists and people that do that. Absolutely not.
Not a chance in hell.
It's about the corruption and the wrongful convictions.
Oh yeah. Correct. Absolutely. And that's why guilters just simply do not understand. We're not blind devotees to Stephen Avery. Now, with Brendan Dassey, that poor kid, we know he knew nothing. That's obvious. There's no forensic evidence against Brendan Dassey. He was coerced. That is blindingly obvious. But the forensic evidence is against Stephen Avery. And all of us here want to know what happened. How did it happen? And so far, I'm not convinced of his guilt. Far from it. In my opinion, he was set up, right? You look at the long history that Stephen had with the likes of the MTSO, Kacerek, Vogel, Culhane. It goes on from a long time ago. So there is that background that you need to take into consideration. And Ken Kratz tried to dissolve it all. Remember what he said during the trial? Oh, what happened to Stephen in the past has got nothing to do with what happened now. How wrong was Ken Kratz?
100% wrong.
We learned that when Ken Kratz potentiates a point, that actually it does have a lot to do with that, whatever he's claiming that it's not true. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
We've learned that. So, yeah, we're on to you, Kratz.
Yes. Alice.
It's just the fact that these guilters honestly think that all the experts and all the specialists, including Kathleen Zellner, are going to put their records on the line for somebody who's guilty.
Very good point.
They're just not going to do it, you know what I mean? Because it's like 30, 40 years worth in some of these experts' cases that has done these cases for that amount of time. They're not going to just come out and say, oh, he's innocent and everything like that, just to be on Kathleen Zellner's side. They've done the homework. They've done the experiments, as you can see in MAM 2. They've done everything, and they cannot connect it to what the state is saying. So I don't understand how they get, and even when you do show them, especially on Reddit, all you get out of them is, show me the proof. Show me the proof. Where does it say that? So when you link a document, or you link a video, or you link a statement, they'll come back with something stupid like, well, it doesn't specifically say in there that he done that or they done this, you know what I mean? And it's like, for God's sake, is it going to take for you to be standing there right in front of them before you're actually going to believe it?
Correct. Absolutely 100% correct. And don't forget that Kathleen Zellner has put her own money into the case, right? She's doing it pro bono.
Time and effort over the years, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And all that has happened to her is stonewalling, right? This case has dragged its heels for years and years and years, and it's been done deliberately.
And lied.
Yes, and
being allowed.
And lied
to use
to.
Kathleen Zellner's own words, all they want to do is see Stephen Avery die in prison quietly.
That is correct. And that is the sentiment that you'll see in Ken Kratz's book, right? Ken Kratz has no sympathy whatsoever for Stephen Avery or his family. And He absolutely is convinced of Stephen's guilt and that he should die in prison. No question about that. Sammy, did you have a comment?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that the team was fired up. And I think we better actually, Susan.
I just wanted to say that I strongly believe that at least a few of the guilters are either people that were involved with the case or have been hired by the state.
Correct. Unfortunately, that is
really know the case. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
a lot of them have been proven to be related to the case and using sock accounts.
Yeah.
Correct. And you could tell by the their verbiage and little comments that they definitely know a lot more than what they're alluding to. And just the way they write some of their answers, they know a lot more than what they're giving out. Not my verbiage.
Oh, I just wanted to let you know that Colette says that you should write a book.
Who? Me?
Yes, Dr. Silkman should write a book.
Yeah.
Nah.
Gee, on which thing?
Look, guys, I'm more than happy to be part of this fantastic team. I like our team approach. We cover a lot of stuff, and oh my Lord, there are a lot of knowledgeable people in this group, and together we're very, very powerful because we don't, and it's true, we don't all agree on the same things, right? But we do want to reach the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Jack 61.
I have a title for your book.
Yeah.
Everything that Ken Kratz left out of his book. It'll be a 10.
Good one.
It'll be a 10 volume fucking set.
Yes.
Sorry.
You guys are too kind. But the good thing is, guys, when you think about it, we are creating that book. Our Foul Play team, and also all the work done by all the other YouTubers, we are creating that book. We are being critical. We're being open and honest. We provide references. We link our material. That book is being generated out in the wild. And that's precisely what the state is scared of, right? The state doesn't want discussions of this case. The state want to suppress it, right? But people have a voice. They have power. And when you see the likes of Barb and Peter, and also I think is it Brian Dassey, who's doing those video clips now, those songs. Is it Brian?
That would be
Brad.
That would be Brad.
Oh, Brad. Oh my God. So what you see now is the family is being proactive. They're not sitting on the fence anymore. They're being proactive, and they're expressing themselves. They're expressing what happened to them as a family. Because remember, most of them were young boys when all this went down, right? And so it's remarkable now that they're fighting back. They've got a voice. Neverly.
Yes, imagine how frustrating it must have been for them all these years, being called names, being put down, being ridiculed, lied to, lied about, and you can't do anything about it. How
Correct.
Frustrating that and powerless you feel. So good for
Correct.
them. Bring them
Stared
all
at
on.
in their own community.
Yes. Bring them all.
Yes.
Yeah, and bring
Yes.
them on.
Yes.
And they got to feel comfortable. They got to feel comfortable.
And I think
Yes.
my verb say that she avoids going out and avoids certain people because she knows that people are staring at her. It's a terrible thing. Okay. Well, I think we actually better start the podcast. What do you reckon, guys? We start?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now, here's the first quote from Ken Kratz's book. This is chapter 2 called The Disappearance. Now, I want to break this quote even if we only do a couple of quotes today, that's fine, no problems. But here's the first quote from Ken Kratz's book. You ready, BB? Was Teresa alive or dead? Now, the question is this. Remember, at this stage of the investigation, she was listed as a missing person. So I put it to the panel. Well, was Teresa alive or dead? Let's not look at any forensic analysis. Let's just look at the situation at that stage. Her vehicle was found. So Ken Kratz wrote the question. Was Teresa alive or dead? BB.
To this day, they have not proven to me that she's dead.
Okay. I respect that. I respect that very much. I don't agree with you, BB, but I do respect your position.
I'm used to my tree branch here. I got a hammock and internet and television out here on my tree branch, and I'm perfectly comfortable here.
Yep. 100% agree. Not my verbiage.
At this point, I think there should have been really hard looking for a missing person. So for him to say, was she dead? Well, that's what everybody's thinking. I mean, is she dead? They're looking, but they still should be looking very hard. And when they found the RAV, I think they just stopped it.
Yes. Sammy, do you have a comment?
My hammock is purple, and I'm over here by BB. They did not prove to me loss of life. They did not prove to me that person they claim later is her. And I agree with Linda. They should have been looking for this missing person.
Yes, I agree. Jack 61.
A couple of things to remember. First, remember Dennis Jacobs on the radio. Is Stephen Avery in custody? Do we have a body yet? That's number one. That's number one. This is going straight to Ken Kratz's question. That was November 3rd. We also
that was very early on.
Yes. We also have in the MTSO paperwork. Now, we've argued about, there's been all kinds of things said about this. The MTSO paperwork said Teresa Halbach was listed as homicide. That was November 3rd as well. That's when the paperwork was dated.
Yes. But wasn't the word
kidnapped?
Kidnapped. I was going to say kidnapped.
And it was like it was under 2 hours after her mom called in. They already had her listed as kidnapped. And I believe they also had Steve listed as the kidnapper, right?
As a person of interest.
Yeah.
Yet at one point they were checking airports.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
very
ready to head to Chicago to look for her there. Why Chicago?
Yes, very good point.
It is interesting though, going to what the ladies have said, that there wasn't this immediate call for searchers immediately to try to find her. There was no urgency to me. I mean, I didn't get that from what I saw and what I've read.
Yes.
How about
very,
this
very
one?
Good point.
They found the RAV, but there was no signs of foul play. Otherwise, if they found her, it would have been a mess. To quote Mike Halbach.
Yeah, that is correct. If she turned up alive, it would be a mess. Yes, that's very, very interesting indeed. In fact, I think the Halbach family was told that there was, correct me if I'm wrong, they were told that there was no signs of foul play in the RAV. Is that correct?
That's what I said. Correct. They found the car and there was no signs of foul play.
Yeah.
Right.
Meaning no blood, no signs of any distress at all. So, I mean, they couldn't see the blood that was there?
Yes.
And then later, a reporter says to Mike, well, she could still be found alive. And Mike said, that would be a mess, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Why would that be a mess? And what the hell does that mean? And who would even say something like that? Just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the grieving process, don't forget the grieving
Wait a minute.
process. It could last
It
a
could
day.
last a
week,
day or an hour
week.
or a minute,
Yeah.
but they'll get through it. No problem.
Yep.
I always like how Fassbender says when he arrived, and I think it was around 2:30 that day when they found the RAV.
Susan, you're cutting out, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. It wasn't me.
Yes.
I think she locked up.
Yes, I think Susan has cut out. But Bibi, do you have a comment?
Oh no, I just thought it was me that was gone because I broke up a couple of times. Yeah.
Yes, I think I think Susan has cut out. Not my verbiage.
Yeah. Did I hear correctly that you said that would be a mess if that happened? I never
You never heard that before? Oh my God!
I
Yes.
ever heard that. I am so shocked by that.
It was on an interview.
My thoughts are just like, are you kidding me?
And before Controller has the interview somewhere on there.
I am going to have to check that out. I am just right now just totally shocked because I thought when he said the grieving process thing, I thought that was bad. But
I think it's on a video that starts with maybe, I want to say for some reason, Mike handing out a flyer in a bar or something. And then maybe that's the one. I'm not positive.
Yeah,
but
he definitely
so
does
many
say
questions in that. So many questions in that statement.
Who would say that? Who? Well, that would be a mess if they find her
being alive would be a mess.
Yeah.
That's very shocking to me. I'm very shocked
it
by
was
that.
somebody else's body that they were produced. Yeah.
Yes. Well, see, guys, you got to remember, we don't know what information the law enforcement told the Horbach family and when, right? For Mike Horbach to say about the grieving process, for him to say if she turned up alive, it would be a mess, you wonder exactly what the law enforcement have told the family early on.
Well, it's like him talking in past tense about her almost.
Correct.
You know?
It's as if they already know that she's passed away. That's my impression. Or she's packed her bags and gone somewhere, right?
And taken the payoff, right?
They already know the outcome, right? So it's very, very suspicious. Now, it's true. If I could just put out that when Pam and her daughter Nicole went to the RAV, it was daylight. And Pam was a private investigator, and she mentioned the fact that she could see inside the car. She talked about seeing bottles, cans, and other bits and pieces. So quite clearly she had good access to the front of the vehicle, right? Neither of them saw any blood, right? And when the investigators checked out the RAV, right, the CD case, 50% of the CD case was covered in blood, in a smear of blood. None of them saw any blood or mentioned any blood. But here's the kicker. When the detectives arrived, they had flashlights. And they, of course, checked the RAV front and back. Can you believe, including Tom Fassbender, can you believe that not one of them said that they saw blood? Not one of them. This is highly, highly suspicious. Now, the first thing you would do as an investigator is check the steering wheel, right? You want to make sure, is there a set of keys in the car? That's exactly where that infamous streak of blood is, right next to where you start the car. No one at the salvage yard mentioned any blood at all in the RAV. Susan.
That's related to what I was trying to say when my internet went offline. But when Fassbender arrives, I think it was like 2:30. He says the first thing he did was go look at the back of the RAV to see if Teresa was in there. I mean, the car had been there for 4 hours. I think if Teresa were in the back of the RAV, they would know that by then.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes, they would. They would. And, quite clearly, they would have checked, especially Pam and Nicole, would have checked the front, the back, everywhere. In fact, I believe Pam actually checked underneath the RAV4. They certainly checked underneath the RAV4. They found no signs of Teresa.
And I definitely think they would have seen that blood in there. No doubt.
Oh, no question.
Well, they would have seen the blood on the back of the wheel cover if Fassbender's right there in the picture's taken and you can see it right yourself in the picture. So how did he not see that?
Correct. Something really weird is going on. That is for sure. But it's true.
You mean the big bloody handprint on the back door?
Well, yes.
That
I
one.
Didn't want to mention. I didn't want to
Is
mention
that on
that.
the green one or on the blue RAV?
Oh no.
Well, it starts out.
I'm kidding.
It starts out green at the top and turns blue as it goes to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
That's the one.
Once Dr. Silkman called it Franken Rav.
Yeah. Sammy, do you have any comments?
I was just going to comment about, the chat. Majority of people here are saying they believe that she's dead. And, wouldn't it be wonderful if she did turn up alive? Of course, I was like, yes, I wish. And
yes.
They're just having discussion. Jazz says he believes that the killer planted the RAV, which I believe. I don't believe it was Stephen Avery or Brendan Dassey.
I agree. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we generated enough controversy on just 4 or 5 words. Let me read what Ken Kratz actually wrote. Now, here's the passage. Was Teresa alive or dead? I feared I knew the answer to that question, and so too did Mark Wiegert, reliable, kind-hearted Wisconsin girls don't just disappear without a word to family or friends. Teresa hadn't walked off the face of the earth. Someone had snatched her from it. Before closing this case, we would encounter a strain of evil, a pitiless vortex of vindictiveness that none of us had experienced before. And here's the question to the panel. Ken Kratz was obviously talking about Stephen Avery. So here's the question. Was Stephen Avery the most dangerous person in Wisconsin? Alice, do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Exactly, Alice. Exactly.
You've broken Alice.
That man is just, there's so much shite that comes out that man's mouth. I'm surprised he's still fucking standing, I tell you.
I agree.
He just, how the hell is he gonna fucking know what Stephen is like? You know what I mean? And no, Stephen is nothing like that in my opinion. And if he'd just taken the time to actually do some investigation, then maybe they'd fucking find that out.
Yes. Well, let me just reread what he wrote. A strain of evil, a pitiless vortex of vindictiveness that none of us had experienced before. Hold on. 12 days later, what does Sean Rudy do to his pregnant wife?
Shoots her in the head, chops her up, burns a part of her, throws everything else over the bridge in the water, in the shed next to his mother. I mean,
let's not forget that he says to that to us part as he blows her head apart.
Yes.
So would one consider his action evil, pitiless, vortex of vindictiveness? Would you put those words to what Sean Rudy did?
That's KK himself.
That's Ken Kratz
Good
himself.
description.
Paul
Yes.
Capaldi says vindictiveness. That's a great description for the MTSO.
Correct. That is 100% correct, Paul. Correct. But it sort of bemuses me that it looks like no crime has ever occurred. The way Ken Kratz wrote that, no crime has ever occurred in Wisconsin, and this is the most evil, vile act that's ever happened, right? And so that's why I asked the question, well, was Stephen Avery the most dangerous person in Wisconsin? Because remember what Judge Willis said? What did Judge Willis say?
You're the most dangerous person in Wisconsin. Your actions have progressed from bad to worse or something like that. While he was in prison for 20 years wrongfully.
Correct.
Let's forget all about Ed Gein and what's the other one that was cutting off the boys' heads?
Yes.
In Milwaukee.
Was it Daimler? Daimler?
No. Is it Dahmer?
Let's just put it this way. There's quite a few.
Dahmer. Yeah.
Yes.
Wisconsin is filled with them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's not forget.
Steve's the worst.
Steve's the worst.
And let's not forget about the one who ran over wee Ricky Hotchleather and then left him to die at the side of the road. You know?
Oh, yes.
But Steve missed the worst criminal that he's had in his courtroom in the whole of Wisconsin. Well, shite.
Yes. Yes. Well put. Well put. Okay, guys. Is there any other comments?
JD says Ken Kratz writes about himself.
Look, there are a lot of embedded confessions in this book. There are a lot of gold nuggets in this book. And that's why I think once we finish doing this series, you'll realize he's talking about himself in a lot of cases. It's actually quite scary. Bibi.
Well, Jack went back and he scanned a comment from long ago on his book and then checked this edition, and he actually made some little tweaks elsewhere besides adding the 2 chapters at the end.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but I thought we'd wait till
you want to talk about it, Jack?
Yeah.
Now remember, this is the criticism that was leveled at Making a Murderer. That Making a Murderer did edits, right, Jack? Yeah. You want to tell us? You want to tell us what Uncle Ken did?
Let me ask a question real quick.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Paul Capaldi says, which Wisconsin County Sheriff's Department has its own assassination unit?
Yeah. Maybe they all do.
Yep. Oh yeah. This is the Kennedy assassination all over again. Men for hire. Men for hire. So now, Jack, you want to tell us what you found?
Yeah, last week when you were doing the reading, you were talking about when Wiegert came in to see Kratz, and there was a part that I was sure that I had heard about him being there in the morning, and I misspoke when I was talking about that. So what he wrote in part 2 about this is gone, but in his first edition of the book, what Kratz said is that Wiegert came in, said, you're never going to believe this. This girl, Teresa Halbach, went missing this morning. It was reported she went missing this morning.
Yes.
And you'll never believe, who's involved, Stephen Avery. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. But
yes.
The morning part is left out of part of the second edition that you're reading.
Yes, correct. He edited it out.
Because golden word, edit.
Yes, he edited it out because he gave away the game, right? How on earth was Wiegert going to know that Teresa Halbach was missing in the morning when Karen, the mother, didn't report it until the afternoon?
That's right.
Right? So what did Ken Kratz and Mark Wiegert actually know? Right? And it's interesting that in in the second edition, he edited out the word the morning.
That's right.
So he
John.
did it himself. He did his own version of editing. Bibi.
Yeah, in his little pamphlet there that we're reading now.
Correct.
And remember that the missing girl poster had a 2nd of November date on it.
That is
yes.
That is correct. That's correct. But officially, Karen reported it on the 3rd. Is that correct? At like in the afternoon when she rang up to report her daughter missing.
2:52 p.m.
Scripted. Yeah.
Correct. In the afternoon.
Yep.
In the afternoon.
What
Alice.
did they know?
Oh, sorry, not my verbiage.
That's okay. I was just going to say, what did they know before the mother did?
That's correct.
This is like bringing up a whole bunch more questions. Like, okay, was that missing poster really printed on that for that day? Okay, probably was. Okay,
yes.
Well, you've got to remember as well that there was reports in the RAV days before it was ever found in that as well at different locations.
That's correct.
And there's also a report that it was taken in.
Yes.
3 days earlier or whatever.
Yes. Well, we've seen the report, right? That dates the RAV as the 3rd, right? What the hell is that being reported as the 3rd? Who would write the 3rd when the RAV hasn't been found until the 5th? Surely that can't be a typo. That cannot be a typo. So was that a mistake, or did they actually have the RAV in custody on the 3rd, right? Which brings in all the observations of the RAV at the turnaround, right? So it's starting to look very, very bad, in my opinion, right? Okay. So, guys, what we'll do, because I'm conscious of the time, we will do one more passage. Don't worry, we got plenty of podcasts that we can continue this. I think the discussion has been really, really good so far. So here's the second quote. 2 days into the investigation, on Saturday, November the 5th, we caught our first break. Teresa Horbach's SUV turned up. Where? On the Avery salvage lot, hastily covered with tree branches, plywood, and an old car hood. A search plane we'd sent up on Friday had failed to spot it. That searcher happened to be a second cousin of Teresa's, a retired local private investigator named Pam Sturm. And the final part of that quote is, she knew it was the last place Teresa had been seen, and it seemed only logical to search the salvage yard full of cars to see if Teresa might be one of them. So here's the question. Did Pam Sturm really find the RAV4 with the guidance of the Holy Spirit? And guys, let's go for it. Bibi.
I'm a godless heathen, so I'm going to say no.
That's a no. That's a no from you, Bibi.
Yeah, that's a no from me.
Okay. Yeah. Linda, not my verdict.
That's an evil god if that is the one that did that. I don't believe that for a minute because she's speaking about it, so I don't take it that way. And
more like a map, more like a map Ryan. Yeah, more like a map Ryan drew her. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. More like the map that she was given, I would think. The direction to be put in.
Yes, very, very interesting. Neverly, do you have a comment?
This is the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, that anybody admitted that Pam Sturm, like to the public, is Teresa's second cousin, because Pam Sturm reported herself or introduced herself as a citizen, private citizen, right?
Yes.
When she got the permission to go there, or when she called in and whatnot, she never said, hey, I'm Teresa's cousin.
Oh, no, I don't think she did then. No.
No, she didn't.
She did later.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
that it is mentioned in the trial documents. Correct. That
Yeah,
she's
for a
actually
private citizen who is in the
yes,
business.
yes, who's in the business. Correct. Susan.
I'm going to say not only no, but hell no.
Hell no. Oh, well, I like that one.
Plus, it was one of the worst acting jobs I've ever seen on the stand.
Yes, I agree.
It's
I
so
agree.
obvious.
I agree. Sammy, do you have a comment?
My answer to your question is no. And she didn't know it. She was told it. She has a map. When I find things, I go by my gut. And that's it. No map.
Yes. Yep. BB.
Kelly says Cap found news article stating it was 5 other people found the RAV and even named the names, I believe, and guess where it wasn't found by the 5 on SA's property.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, I think it said it was found in the quarry, and it was like I want to say it was a newspaper article, and it said that it was some of her.
They were friends.
Cousin or her best friend or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I actually had a conversation. Actually, again, Doc, this was Reddit that this pertained to. And when you were talking about this, I thought about this because this was recent. You know, the thing is that when all this transpired allegedly on November 5th, how God Pogs and Nicole found the RAV. Number one, when she showed up that morning, and allegedly, you know, no one's been assigned to the Avery salvage yard. Yet Ryan knew that that yard was one of the last places that she'd been. She had an appointment that day. So they were late. Why hadn't he went ahead and assigned someone to go there? Number two, and I'll be quiet. Number two, about an hour or so after the RAV was found, those 5 searchers were found by Manitowoc County Sheriff's officer. I don't remember which one. I just read this, but found those 5 searchers and named them. They're friends of Teresa. One of them was Kelly Pitson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure one of them was Kelly. I can't remember the other girls. Wherever they were on the Avery salvage yard.
Was it she that that friend with the weird name?
I'm sure
Rosanna?
I could probably. I can't remember, BB. I can't remember.
Rosanna?
But
I can't remember.
Regardless, I mean, to me, that tells me that they were assigned to go to the salvage yard. So why else would they be there?
Trinity Rosanna.
Trinity sounds right.
Yes.
So
correct.
And
I read that as well.
And answer your question, no.
No, it wasn't the Holy Spirit. It wasn't the Holy Spirit.
Hell no.
Okay.
Paul Capaldi and Kelly are both talking about how weird it is that they all thought Steve Avery's was the last place she was seen alive, but yet that's like the last place they go and search. They're searching at bars, they're searching along sides of roads, but the last place they go looking is over by Avery's.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, the remarkable thing is, you know, how law enforcement worked out the chronology of where Teresa Halbach actually had gone, and I think Mark Wiegert or Remica, one of them said that her last stop was actually at the Zipperers, right? I think there was actually discussion of that they thought that her last stop was actually at the Zipperers, and someone actually said that Teresa Halbach left the salvage yard and went to the Zipperers, and then all of a sudden that got dropped like a hot potato. And
the boss had other plans.
Yep, the boss had other plans, and that Stephen Avery was the last place that Teresa Halbach stopped at. Alice, do you have a comment?
I'm just going to reiterate what everybody says, and it's hell fuck no. It wasn't the Holy Spirit that sent her there. It was Peggle and Ryan. She had a map and a camera, for God's sake. You know what I mean? The only one to have a map and a camera, and she found it within 30 minutes? Bollocks. And the fact that it wasn't seen on the flyover was because it wasn't fucking there on the flyover.
That's correct. I agree with you. The RAV4 was not there on the 4th, one day before. And the thing that gives it away, guys, when you think about it, look, and that's why I was going to ask another sub question from Ken Kratz's book, which makes perfect sense when I read it in a second. The Toyota RAV4 was in fairly good condition, and it was blue. And yes, there were some branches and there was some debris and material put on the vehicle. But what stood out right on the back wheel cover was RAV4 Toyota, right? Now, you could be in a hot air balloon. You're not going to, you could be in a hot air balloon over Australia. You're not going to miss that, right?
You might
You're
as
not
well
gonna
be in a neon sign, right?
You betcha. You absolutely betcha. Now, you think about this. All the vehicles that were around that relatively new Toyota RAV4 were all junked cars. So,
very old, antique. Yes.
yes. So you're going to be immediately suspicious seeing a relatively new car in that position there. Right? Now, Earl and Chuck, they work in the salvage yard. They place cars depending on their make, model, and year in certain locations. Because when people come looking for parts, they say, look, I'm after a Dodge 67. Where is it? Oh, it's this part of the yard. So the mere factor that someone would put a relatively new Toyota RAV4 in that spot, it's not meant to disguise it. It's meant to be found, and rapidly. A BB.
Yeah, and it takes like 2 seconds to pull that RAV cover off. And then at least all you got is a tire back there. You know, even taking that tire off would have been more camouflage, even more.
Correct.
But at least pulling the cover off, right? It's only going to take you a minute.
Correct. The mere fact that it was there indicated that whoever left it there, their intentions was to find it. Sammy.
Yeah, when I first started out in all of this, everything that I found showed that this RAV had been seen between the time she visited Stephen Avery and the time it was found on his lot, other places. There was reports of it. That baffled me that so many people tend to ignore that in every way, even to the extent of some of these reports that I tracked down described damage to the vehicle glass and stuff like that. Also, nobody ever asks, whatever happened to that fancy camera of hers?
Correct.
Somebody has it somewhere.
Yes, correct. And just for our listeners who may not know, I think Pam is also related to Sheriff Pagel. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So think about this, right? You're looking for a missing person, right? You have no idea where she is. A day before, they do a flyover over the salvage yard, right? They don't see a Toyota RAV4. Yet, lo and behold, look at this. We have Pam Sturm and her daughter who roll up late, and they go and encounter Ryan Hilliges, and Ryan just happens to be an ex-boyfriend, and Ryan just happens to be the coordinator of the searches, right? And Ryan is coordinating searches with law enforcement. So he knows information directly from law enforcement. Now, the flyover showed that Toyota RAV4 was not there. Yet, what we have is Ryan, who drew up a map of the salvage yard, and he hands Teresa Horbach's cousin a map and a camera and the direct number to Sheriff Pagel. And it just so happens that Pam is related to Sheriff Pagel, and she has his direct number. Of all the people, it is the cousin of Teresa that finds her vehicle in record time on the salvage yard amongst nearly 4,000 vehicles, and the only explanation that Pam could give of how she found the RAV was that the Holy Spirit guided her there. And we've already answered the question. I don't think anyone the Holy Spirit may indeed be true, but I'm not saying that it's not true. But to believe that the Holy Spirit guided Pam of God to the RAV4, I think it stretches the imagination. Jack 61.
Yeah, I don't think divine intervention played a part here. Not that the Holy Spirit doesn't exist, but I don't think it did there. But we have to remember one more thing here too, Doc.
Yes.
And that is the day before, another cousin, David Beach, and his girlfriend or wife drove through the salvage yard and didn't see the RAV.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing, of course, is that I believe it was Earl and Robert Fabian were on a cart, I believe, because they were sighting in their rifles. And Earl said in a report, hey, I drove directly down there. I know my yard, and I would have spotted it if the vehicle was there. And he never saw a Toyota RAV4, right? And that complements exactly what the flyover showed as well. Right now, please don't tell me that. Now, what's interesting, and I spoke with Jack for a little while, was that in the plane, you had Drum, the pilot, you had Wiegert, Pagel, and Wendy Baldwin, right? Right? And they do the flyover on the 4th. Well, guess who's in the helicopter on the 5th, right? Have a guess who's in the helicopter on the 5th, where they fly over with the RAV4 when it's on a tarp. Guess who's in that plane? He's in the helicopter.
Here you go.
I'll know who, but I won't say.
Yeah. Who do you reckon was in there?
Pagel or Bogle?
No.
Yeah. Who was actually
Baldwin.
Wendy Baldwin? Now think about it, right? She was in the plane. She was in the plane on the 4th, and she was in a helicopter on the 5th. And I think she made the comment, I couldn't have done it better myself. And started laughing.
That's an interesting comment.
That's an interesting comment, isn't it, Jack 61?
It is very interesting.
Right. And I think hopefully in an open mic, we can discuss Wendy Baldwin, because she was everywhere.
Oh, that's going to be a doozy.
That'll be a ripper. All right,
she was the one who made that snarky comment when she was taping inside Steven's trailer, and when it came to that invitation, where it says you're cordially invited and whatnot, and she said, I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah. And she also made the comment about getting his shoes to check for local crimes that have taken place.
To solve burglaries.
To solve local crimes. Yes. Sammy?
No, I was agreeing with Neverly.
Okay, awesome. Jack 61.
Really, and I'm not going to get into it, but really what she did to Marie should be criminal. She should have been in serious
trouble. The questioning?
Absolutely. And what she did, later it was a pursuit really starting in November, but it just got so much worse, but we'll cover that later. It was terrible.
Correct. And also she was involved with Mark Wiegert in questioning Jody.
Yes, she was.
The stuff that came out of their mouths is just gutter trash. Absolutely. But that'll be an open mic. Well, look, guys, unfortunately, I've got to get going, but I want to close with a final quote from the book. And don't worry, we'll continue next week. This is from Ken Kratz's book, and this is an important piece of information. And here's the quote. Also, the RAV4's license plates had been removed. They would be found 2 days later, crumpled and hidden inside another junked vehicle on the salvage lot. Here's my question to the panel, my final question. What can you tell me about the location of the RAV4 and also the number plates where they were found? Who's got an answer? What can you tell me about the location of the RAV and the location of the number plates that were found? Alice?
Well, the car was found away down at the bottom of the salvage yard, but the licence plates were found in a motor about a few 100 feet from his house.
Yes. Excellent. Susan?
I also think those plates were found on the third search of the cars or something like that, or the fourth.
Yes. They weren't immediately found. That's correct. There were several searches.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, they did.
Makes
correct.
Sense.
Yes. Jack 61.
We'll get into it more tomorrow, but it's interesting, some of the notes that were written and the license plate being written down in one of those. Well, actually, I think 2 or 3 of those notes. But, in relation to where the RAV was, and then across, I'm pretty sure, wasn't that old wagon? Wasn't that on the road that goes down by?
Yes.
Yeah, it was on that main road.
Yes.
Opposite
yes,
ends.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. Correct. Any other observations of where the RAV and the car, where the license plates were? It's a very important clue. Susan?
They were about as far from each other as you can get.
Yes.
On that salvage yard.
Yes.
Well, and they also made it look like he had hit the car, covered it up, took the plates of it, and then on his way walking across the junkyard back to his house, threw them in that other car, folded them up.
Yep.
And threw them in the other car.
Excellent point, BB. Susan, do you have a comment?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, here's my observations, unless anyone's got any other comments. Any other comments? All right. Now, let's think about this, and I'll be very, very quick. Right? There are nearly 4,000 vehicles in that lot, right? If you wanted to hide a vehicle and a number plate, would you put the vehicle, the Toyota RAV4, on the periphery of the salvage yard? And would you put the license plates on the periphery on the road where anybody from the outside going in will immediately find them? Or would you try and disguise and place them internally inside the salvage yard, where it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to find? Not my verbiage.
I'd have smashed it. They had a crusher.
Yes. In fact, that's what Stephen Avery told Fassbender and Wiggy. He said, if I had done this, I would have crushed it. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Perfect.
Correct. Sammy?
Well, for sure, if I was going to do away with somebody, I damn sure would want nothing to do with their vehicle or any of their anything on my property. No way, no how.
Correct. So you wouldn't leave incriminating evidence in your backyard. Is that correct?
Hell no.
Whether you own a junkyard or not, right?
Right.
Yes. Correct. But would you be so brash as to leave number plates on the back seat of a station wagon when you've got 200 to 300 searchers checking every car out?
It just seems so obvious this was a plant job.
Yes, but in my opinion, they were left in those positions so that they could be easily found.
It's a really good point, Dr.
Exactly.
Silkman, that they were
over here.
Yes. Yeah. He had a smelter. He had a skip steer where he could have dug a hole and buried them, and no one would have found them. What does Stephen Avery allegedly do? He puts them in the back seat of a station wagon where anybody walking past that vehicle will say, oh, that's odd. What are those number plates doing in the back seat? Right? So, in other words, you look where the RAV4 was, you look at where the number plates were, they were all both on the periphery on the property. So that means that if someone planted them, they didn't go deep within the salvage yard. They had an easy get-out plan. They could easily walk out, right? Because next to the salvage yard, you had fields. All you had to do was step across into the fields, go across the berms, you're out of there. No one will even know that you were there. So the Toyota RAV4 wasn't buried deep within the salvage yard. The number plates weren't put within a vehicle deep within the, they were both placed on the perimeter. So any searchers would find both of them, and they did, right? And think about this, guys. Stephen Avery did nothing to disguise the burnt electronics that were found in his burn barrel, the cremains that were found in his burn pit, the key that was in his room. He did nothing to hide them. So they were all there to be found, and easily. And even that the MTSO and the investigators stuffed up. So that's my sort of like final comment about the placement of the vehicle and the placement of the number plates. They were left there so they could be found easily, right? Now, even Pam of God couldn't provide an explanation on how she found that RAV so quick. So she had to use divine intervention. Jack 61.
Well, if given the premise for your question, I would definitely, if I was going to, attempt to hide a car in a junkyard, I would definitely go to the interior of it. Definitely. Same for the plate. But, if he wanted to destroy that car, aside from the crusher, 10 gallons of kerosene and a road flare, and that car is burned to the frame. It's gone.
That's
all
correct.
Of it. It's burned up.
That's correct.
So he could have easily driven that thing off somewhere. It would have taken him a half hour at most, set it on fire and walked away.
That is correct. That is correct.
And dig a hole and bury the license plate.
He could have done that. He could have got the cremains, the electronics, everything, dug a hole in the field. I don't think any dogs would have found it because there was no blood. Nothing. It's all burnt to a crisp. Put it this way, guys, there was no effort to hide anything. That's an important clue. There was no effort. It was all there out in the open, right? And that's what we'll discuss later on when we do read some more of the chapters. But look, guys, I think I'd like to call it a close here. We've covered a hell of a lot. Are there any other final comments, guys? And Neverly?
Yes, in addition to what you just said about they were placed there to be found easily, it was like a billboard, like, find me, look here.
Oh, yeah.
I also find interesting that the gun in Steven's trailer had a sticky note where it said Steven.
Yes,
and
Steven,
Teresa's SD card said, or the case, CD case said Teresa. So we are not mistaken at all who are we talking about. We have a victim and a murderer. Yes.
Correct. That's
I just find it
very
interesting.
good point.
Again.
Very good point. Jack 61.
I do remember, and I vaguely remember this, but internally they did haul a car away. Do you guys remember that? There was one car that they took away. I don't remember any results from that. My mind has gone blank on that. Remember, they brought a wrecker or something, or the skid steer in there. Maybe they just picked it up. I can't remember, but they did move at least one car more on the internal.
Well, I know that they put a lot of crime scene tape around a lot of vehicles that were in the junkyard.
Yes.
I don't know whether they towed any other vehicle. I know that they took Stephen's Grand Dam. They took the flatbed truck as well. I don't remember whether they took an additional vehicle.
I think they just picked it up.
Recall.
I think they took brought the skid steer in or some kind of lift and picked it up, or a wrecker of some type. I think that's what I'm thinking about.
That could have occurred. Yeah, I just can't remember it in CASO or anything like that. Correct. All right, guys. Are there any other final comments? Jack 61.
No, just waiting on you.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, look, guys, I want to again thank my panel for their fantastic comments. And I'd like to thank Alice for her tremendous passion and being honest. And you're right, this case does drive you crazy. Some of the stuff, and we can see that in what Ken Kratz has wrote. And now these are his words. We're not editing them. We're reading them out as they are, and we're discussing them. I'd like to thank the team for coming along, and also like to thank our listeners and supporters for joining us on the podcast. Guys, if you like what we do and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, we have a Discord channel where you'll find most of us there around the clock. Lucky we're not addicted, right? And you could ask any question you like, and someone will be there to help you. Well, look, guys, thank you so much, and we will catch you all next week.
This has been a Foul Play production. And we're done.
Woohoo!
Ooh, that was